I got inspired at a very young age when I went in my grandma's kitchen. I would go to my grandmother's house over the holidays, or when I didn't have school. I'd be curious and always asking questions and figuring out what she was doing. Caroline Oudberg is her name. I think she was humble enough not to put her name anywhere. She would prepare dishes that were inspiring to me, especially when she was making desserts. There was always a different smell in the kitchen, which attracted me. I wanted to know what smelled so good. That was signed by Auguste Escoffier himself. You don't find that nowhere. May 1934. My boss gave it to me.
Your boss gave it to you?
Yeah.
From where?
My boss from La Goulue.
Jean Denoyer,
the owner. I have pictures when I was sitting with him over here. He loves the way I cook, and he says that he loves this type of food, and that was to enhance my culinary culture. I got in there, dipped my finger in a raspberry preserve. And then, of course, was thrown out of the kitchen. Until she saw that I could help. That's Tony right there. There's me in the back. Is Gazela, which is a wine from Spain that was at the time $2 a bottle, and it's a bubbly wine.
$2 a bottle?
$2 a bottle, which is what we use for the steam mussels. Miami, and then I was a chef here at night. And when you go,
so you would have to drive every day? Or?
Every fucking day, yes.
Holy
and it was
shit.
so fucking busy here that I had to quit my teacher job to stay just here and take care of my buddy Nick over here. So then I started peeling apples or peeling onions, slicing apples, slicing onions and crying. Quiche Lorraine, which we have in the menu, that's the recipe we're making now. 1985. Institution Sainte-Anne in Saint-Nazaire, Loire-Atlantique, France. And you can quiz me about all the recipes in there. I know them by heart.
You know them all?
Yes. This is my life. I breathe this. Chef Gwen Le Pape from La Goulue Palm Beach, and today we're going shopping, where I got a text message from the fish vendor over there telling me that he's got 2 cases of skatefish, a skin off, waiting for us over there, plus we're gonna buy a whole bunch of stuff. My receiver slash porter is putting a list together that we started, and he's going to text it to me. By the time that we get there, we'll have the list on the phone, and then we'll be able to go ahead and fill up the van. We have an ice cooler in the back and lots of space, and that's it. Alors, you have the choice between the foie gras 3 ways, which is au torchon, which means we cook it into a cloth, and then you get a slice of that. And then we have a kromeski, which is a little fried ball where we cured the foie gras and seasoned it, turned them into little balls, and then dunk them in rice flour, egg wash, and then gluten-free panko. And then on the pickup, we put that in a deep fryer, and it's crunchy on the outside and soft in the middle. Or we have the pan-seared, which is a little slice of foie, cooked to order, of course, soft in the center. That's served on a brioche toast, and that comes with a little bit of fig spread. So we take the figs and then we turn them into something like a jam, and that's for that. And the other one is Maryland crab cakes that we make with Phillips jumbo lump crab meat. And then to make it a little lighter, I do half mayonnaise, half parsnip puree, where we cook the parsnips with no salt because we season it with a little bit of Old Bay seasoning. And then in there you have lemon zest, lemon juice, cilantro, a little bit of panko, but you can really see the lump. We usually make the mix the day before, let it sit overnight, and then make little patties, kind of like the size of a hockey puck, that are 5 ounces. So far, we have 180 of them, and then that's going to be good enough for tomorrow, and then we'll make a little bit more tomorrow for the next day. So that's the appetizers. And last year, we did the crab cakes, and it was very, very popular and people loved it. So that's why this year I decided to repeat the motion and then do it again. And then we have for the Wellington, which is served, which is a beef that's wrapped with some prosciutto, a little bit of spinach and some mushroom duxelles, and then wrapped into a puff pastry, and then we bake that in the oven for about 35 to 45 minutes, depending on the size of the eye. And that is served with truffle au jus, which is a sauce that we made from bones that are roasted and make a little au jus that's super flavorful, that we finish with some black truffle. And then it's served with French string beans, aka haricot vert, and blistered grape tomatoes on the vine. So we flash fry the tomatoes to order until the skin explodes a little, and then just season them, salt and pepper, and put that on the plate. So that's for the Wellington. And then for the seafood dish, it's a monkfish tail on the bone that looks quite spooky in presentation, with a couple of lobster medallion, and that is served on a bed of squid ink risotto and a saffron sauce. And that's what they have. And the dessert, you have a choice between a chestnut pavlova with a cream of chestnut and candied chestnut, or a Christmas log from my great grandmother's recipe. The biscuit is gluten-free, that we make with egg, sugar, and cornstarch, a little bit of vanilla. Then we spread that, we wet it with a little simple syrup with some kirsch in there, which is a cherry liqueur. And then we spread raspberry jam or raspberry preserve. Then we roll it, and then we put a chocolate buttercream on top, and then we decorate it. For the one that are whole, we decorate the whole cake, and then for the one that will be served individually, we actually don't decorate them, and we just put the decor on each slice that we serve. We sit about 100 and some people, and it looks like we have a first sitting at 5 or even closer because we go straight through, we don't break. So I think we're opening for the dinner at 4 p.m. on that day. And then we already have reservations starting at 4. And then we have another sitting like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And we try to spread it throughout the service so we don't serve everybody at the same time. It's going shopping with Santa. And then here's my reindeer. And what's that thing behind the reindeer? What do you call that?
Carriage?
The carriage. Here's my reindeer and carriage. AKA Ford something.
Rudolph?
Yeah. And of course, we have to stay hydrated. Sponsored by Evian. Thank you very much. And this year we're about to hit $10 million of sales.
Wow.
Everything included. Which is, it's not bad.
Yeah.
We are close to 18% up from last year.
Okay.
And then last year we were 12% up from the year before. Last year was the most we made. We were not too bad. And this year is the most we make. Plus, we're trying to develop also off-premises catering, takeout for parties, and going out there and giving the Goulue Palm Beach services, doing some private events, and name it, you know. The flour that we get for our flatbreads is imported from France. It's from the Moulin de Paris, which is the brand of flour. And the type is T65.
Okay.
Which is something more or less equivalent to what they have here in America as high gluten flour, except the French is better, of course.
Yeah.
And the regular flour that I purchase is to make the crust for roasted branzinos, and then we don't actually eat the crust. You know what I mean? It's a dough that has flour, salt, water, egg, lemon zest for flavor, and then we sprinkle it with coarse sea salt.
How would the dough taste if you were to eat it with the
Disgusting.
disgusting?
Too salty.
Too salty. Okay.
And then some people, and then we take the dough, we take the crust out of the fish at the table. The food runner does that and makes sure that he tells the guest not to eat the crust. And some guests just don't want to listen. No, that's fine. I can eat that. No, you can't. And then some send it back where they didn't touch the fish. They just ate the salty part of the crust. And they said, no, they don't like that dish. I mean, we have people sometimes. It's something, you know. We're baking the fish in the crust, not for you to eat the crust, but it's not like a beef Wellington, for example. A beef Wellington, we make with a Dufour brand, which is puff dough, puff pastry, which costs another leg and a half, by the way. The cream of the crop, very expensive. And that you should eat the dough there because it's part of the dish. Not like for the branzino. And then the Gruyere that you saw is also what we use to put in our cheese soufflé. To make the cheese soufflé, we make something called a mornay. Mornay is a fancy word for bechamel with cheese and egg yolk. So we make a mornay first, and then we melt, and then a little hint of nutmeg. And then we melt the cheese in there while the dough is still hot. And then we finish them with egg yolks. Let that rest for a minute. Meanwhile, we whip up some egg white, turn them into snow white. Forget the 7 dwarfs. And then we put, I'm not going to give you my recipe, but 280 grams of the mornay for X amount of egg white. And then we fold the egg white 3 times delicately the first time, and then they kind of deplete somehow. You know, they're not as stiff anymore. And then we go a second time with it, and a third time until it becomes very fluffy. And then we put that in our ramekins or soufflé molds that have been buttered previously and coated with a little bit of the flour.
Okay.
And then we bake that at 350 for 17 minutes. Oh, by the way. This is part of shopping. Today, we didn't crank the volume because you're here. But otherwise, it could get loud by myself in here. And I switch stations. I have the rap station, the dance station, the Spanish station, the rock and roll station. Like, if I had to tell you about my playlist, it's so diverse.
I didn't even know radios still exist in cars.
It's so eclectic. Well, what's convenient with the radio is that you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
And then you get to know what's going on when they play commercials and stuff like that. Everything in the kitchen gets used, reused, and abused. Nothing goes to the trash unless it's qualified to go there. Example, the metal, the plastic, the cardboard, they all have a destination. We can't do anything left with that. And then as far as fresh ingredients are concerned, when we trim the beef, for example, when we trim a beef tenderloin, the nerve, the silver skin and the fat goes into a bucket that we mix with the beef bones for where we make our stock, where we have another bucket with all the things that are leftover produce. For example, when we pluck the rosemary, we keep the stems. When we use the parsley sprigs for decoration, we keep the stems, we throw them in a bucket. When we pluck the parsley to make chopped parsley, same thing with the stems. They go into a bucket that then go into our stock pot, which we make in general twice a week, and that thing runs overnight. And we have an overnight crew that comes to clean the kitchen, and then they keep an eye on it. And that thing is really going 24/7. If we're not there serving the guest, we're either preparing or cleaning. And cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. Very important. And recycle everything. The use, reuse, and abuse, you gotta make it your way of life. That's the same thing, you know, like, for example, the ends of the bread, we cut them in half and then we serve them, and then when we have the ends of the baguette, we put that into a bucket and we turn it into breadcrumbs. And then when we serve a dish, for example, for the staff, we put a little breadcrumb on top of the mac and cheese or whatever that we make for the family. Then it's with things that were originally scraps, but nothing hits the trash can. Unless there's nothing left that we can pull out of it, you know. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Well, what really opened my taste buds on fine dining was working with Jean-Georges.
Okay.
Working with Jean-Georges, it has that Asian flair and that finesse and that touch. So working with Jean-Georges was definitely developed it. But also, while I was the executive chef at Le Bilboquet back in 1991, the owner, Philippe Delgrange, was living in the same building as Daniel Goulue, who was at the time the chef of Le Cirque, which then became Daniel. And during my break,
So he didn't start Daniel. He took over as the executive chef.
he took over le he was the executive chef at Le Cirque, and then became the owner at Daniel, and then called it Daniel.
Yeah.
And then another restaurant named Le Cirque with another chef opened at a different address. So, and Delgrange knew Daniel and then sent me during my break between 3 and 5 to go on stage at Le Cirque. And I was 22 years old at the time.
That's my age.
And then I was executive chef at Le Bilboquet during the day and at night. And during my break, I was a stagiaire at Le Cirque, which also opened up my eyes on 5 days a week. So that was that. And then Brasserie des Halles, what happened was, when Anthony Bourdain wrote the book Kitchen Confidential, became so famous, they needed to hire a chef because he couldn't take it anymore. There was no Indeed at the time or whatever. It was from the New York Times.
Okay.
And then in the New York Times, they placed an ad looking for a chef. And then I was like, okay, let's try to find out. And then I saw that thing. And there were a few candidates. And I went to a first interview, and then a second interview, and then a tasting. And then out of all the candidates, I'm the one that nailed the position. And I worked at Les Halles for 4 years with Anthony Bourdain, chef at large, because Mr. Bourdain was nowhere in sight anymore, except he was our ambassador, he was our PR. And then what happened was, he would come, sign the books, show his face. But then the steak au poivre sauce one day was that color, the next day was that color, the next day was that flavor.
It's very consistent.
Not consistent at all. And then there was no recipe book. I'm a Virgo. I'm super square. I love precise, super square stuff. So I created a cookbook, which was the recipe book for the kitchen, the same one that I have here, that I made also, which I have all on file. And then when Tony saw that cookbook, he came in and said, "Oh, chef, what's that?" I said, "Well, that's a cookbook." And he goes, "Oh, let's publish a book about that." And then he published the Anthony Bourdain Les Halles cookbook, which I have a copy over here in the office, where there are a few pictures of me in that book, and then there's a little blurb in the last pages to thank me for running the day-to-day operations and how I'm the backbone of that thing. I'm the one making it happen. Plus, they have me under the roasted chicken picture when I'm checking on an onion soup. But that's the editors, you know, like they don't know the difference between a soup and a chicken. But that's fine. I'm still there and I'm happy.
That's really good.
You know. And then on top of that, it says my name on the jacket again, which here the boss wants me to put the one with the one that says La Goulue, executive chef, and all that. It's at the dry cleaner. Don't worry about it. What's important is not the name on the jacket. It's what's inside the jacket. That's what's important. And then working with Tony, for example, we did the Food and Wine Festival here, where we cooked some food for about 15 to 1,800 people.
Some.
At the Food and Wine Festival.
Yep.
But when I did it with Tony in 2004,
In Palm Beach.
no, it was in Miami Beach, and it was over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was for 10,000 people. And at the time, we borrowed the kitchen of the Lowe's Hotel in South Beach, and the size of the oven to cook my bourguignon is the size of my kitchen. It's a walk-in oven, a rotary walk-in oven that's so huge.
Yeah.
And we cooked 3 days non-stop, 10,000 portions of that. You know what I mean? Plus, I have a picture somewhere of us at the show where Tony was smoking a cigar, flicking the bird. Michael McCann, who's my sous chef at the time, who's from Idaho, who's from Cleveland, actually. Michael McCann, who was my sous chef, is on that picture. And Bess, aka known as the Grill Bitch in the industry, who was Tony's sous chef for a long time. They worked at the Rainbow Room together way before he worked at Leal. Plus, Tony also was the chef at the Supper Club, which was owned at the time by Jean de Noyer, which is the same owner as here. So Jean has already worked with Tony. And then before I worked with Tony, Tony was a whistleblower. His first book he wrote, called Kitchen Confidentials, expressed how we recycled the bread from table 35 to table 41 because it was not finished. This is illegal to do that now in the United States of America in 2025. But back in the day, like in France, the butter, you scrape off the breadcrumb and then you put more fresh one and then you recycle it. And then if they don't finish it, you put it in a bucket, you melt it and you make hollandaise sauce for the brunch. Yep. Tony was a whistleblower, exposing everything. How the bartender was giving a blowjob to the chef in the walking box.
I remember what was it? Like one of the first pages when he talks about I was at Cape Cod or wherever he was. The wedding ceremony walkthrough, and the wife asked the head chef for weed. They go through. She comes back in, whispers in his ear, and then he's out in the back dumpster.
Voilà. Before you know it. So Tony was a whistleblower, and then that's what he did in life. In general, at first. I wasn't so sure because I felt like I was betrayed, you know what I mean? As a professional, how can you expose what is our bread and butter, our bacon, you know? But then I understood later, and then he had that show on One Food Network and then another network and then No Reservation or whatever. And then really he's a very, very, very interesting individual that was able to, he was very eloquent. And the way he would express things would definitely get right to your heart. You know what I mean? So, talking about that.
So you taught culinary school for some time, right?
I did.
And that was in Miami?
That was in Miami, in Coral Gables, at the Mariano Moreno International Culinary Institute. Okay. And then it was under Georges Berger, who's a MOF, which is Meilleur Ouvrier de France, one of the greatest award or accomplishment you can get. And then, by the way, talking about that, I gotta show you my my thing of becoming a master chef of France. And that you can put on documents because my mom has always pushed me to do that. She's the one that got me in culinary. She's the one that paid for all that. And then in exchange, I bought her a round trip ticket in first class for her to come to the ceremony this summer, which was in Texas.
That's cool.
Yes.
Where in Texas?
Houston, Texas. Yes.
I live in Austin, but Austin is a good food
I love Austin.
But Houston, the food, I haven't really been, but I've been told the food scene is by far the most developed and diverse in Houston. But
I go to Austin every year.
Okay.
For the MotoGP. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. Okay. Oh, and also in case the interview that was back in
how long ago was that?
2013.
Okay.
So 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
But that didn't stop me.
Do you still ride?
Of course.
Yeah.
I still got 5 bikes. Yes. I stopped riding for 10 years.
Okay.
Until I realized that I was totally miserable. My life was in limbo, and then I became depressed. And then one day I got onto a friend's bike, and I went like, my life. The next day I went to buy a bike. I kept my old bikes all the time, and now I restored my old bikes. Okay. And now I got a new old bike, and then I'm buying one every 2 years.
Awesome.
That's the way to live.
Yeah.
That or die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gives you a thrill that.
Exactly.
So let's rewind a little back to your childhood. You're from Brittany?
Well, I'm from Brittany.
You're from Brittany.
But technically I was born in Réunion Island.
Okay.
Which is next to Mauritius. Okay. In southeast of Africa in the Indian Ocean. Okay. It's 13 hours flight from Paris. Southeast of Africa, South Hemisphere. So I was born there because my parents were there. My sister was born there 2 years before me. Mm-hmm. And then when my grandfather died, my parents felt like they needed to go back to metropolitan France, which they did. A little too soon for me because I was going to school with flip-flops and shorts. And then I had to go to school with moon boots and ski jacket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I coped with it, you know.
What age were you when you moved?
9 years old.
9 years old. Okay. It's a big adjustment.
Yes.
It's a very...
And then when I first started working, my mom hooked me up in a place with her cousin where I worked in a pastry shop.
Okay.
And then they tried me. They tried to find out how motivated I was. And then it was over the Easter season where I was looking forward to work on chocolates. And then they didn't let me touch anything sweet for 2 weeks, just to find out how motivated I was. Bitches. And then I kept asking questions about everything. And apparently I passed the quiz because in July, that happened in around April, you know, around Easter. And then in July, when summer break was on for the school, they sent me back and I remember everything they taught me, even though I didn't touch a thing. And then I was able to make it. When I was there and I became I was part of the pastry production team, where you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to be at work at 3 a.m. Imagine when you're a kid, you're 12 years old, and now you're sitting on your ass 8 hours a week at school on the chair, goofing around with the teachers, and now you have to stand 12 hours a day while you wake up in the middle of your sleep, and then you have to do production. And there I understood that this is what I wanted. And then also, there was a good compensation. The compensation to me was the motivation. And then I could buy one moped, another moped, parts for my moped, another helmet, smoke everyone because I had more money to buy more moped. It was already, all the money, until I got married, all the money I made, I spent on motorcycles. After I got married, all the money I made, I spent on the kids and the wife. Now that I'm divorced, I still spend all on the ex-wife. She got a good lawyer, I didn't. But then the kids are happy. And actually, one is born in 2002, the other one in 2006. And then they want to be brain surgeon. Their problems. But I put them in the kitchen when they were kids. They can handle the station. They've been here. And then when they work here, they think they own the joint. Get out of here. You don't.
So you tell me that your mom was a great
my mom,
great influence on you.
A great influence, and also my great-grandmother was a cordon bleu, and then she also wrote a book, which I have a copy of it here, that I would like to show you.
Yes, absolutely.
Handwritten copy from 1935. You know, like.
Is your great-grandmother or grandmother?
My great-grandmother.
Grandmother, okay.
And then herself, her name is Caroline. And then that thing is priceless. I also have a copy of the Escoffier book that is signed for Jean himself, the boss of here. I'll show you that one. Those two are going neck and neck. Yeah. This is super gold.
Yeah.
Voilà, so I can show you that.
What was the greatest lesson that your mother... Did you ever meet your great-grandmother, or did she pass?
No.
So what was the greatest lesson that your mother ever taught you?
The greatest lesson that my mother ever taught me was, if you have energy to spare, spend your energy outside. Don't spend it on others.
Yeah. Spend
it outside on yourself. That's exactly what I keep doing, except now my outside is my kitchen. You know what I mean? And then I've always had, if you would ask her how I was as a kid, I was very turbulent, But I grew up in an era of we didn't have this or any of that.
Smartphones, yeah.
And we were outside. I would come home and I had to undress in a garage. And then the washer dryer was, there was no dryer by the way. There was a washer and a dryer.
Okay.
The dryer, we were hanging the stuff. And I could not walk inside the house unless I was naked. Because I would always come back full of mud. No matter what time of the year it was, where we lived, it was always humid enough that I was always in the fields coming out full of mud. And then no matter what it was, always. And my sister couldn't take it anymore because I had too much juice. Like all the bunch of boys we all had the same energy.
Yeah.
And then we spent it well, we were relentless. And then we kept pounding and pounding and pounding. And then when that time I was defiant with my dad, and then it would be the crap out of me, I'd say, oh, is that all you got? Even your wife hits harder, which was my mom. And it was just because I was arrogant, insolent, and looking for another. And going like, oh, that's it? I was a punk ass. I was so difficult to deal with. I was not an easy kid.
Were you able to channel this?
Later, much later, yes. Once I got my own freedom.
Did the kitchen help with that or no?
Absolutely, 100%.
That's what I would think.
The kitchen did, because the structure of a kitchen is what kept me on the rails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You cannot behave like that in a kitchen. And then I had my first executive chef position when I was 20 years old in Barth, in a place called the Topolino, across from the Filao Beach Hotel in Barth in the Caribbean, in Saint-Jean. And then the boss goes like, how old are you? I'm like 20. And he smashes his fist on the countertop at the bar during the interview. And he goes, you're not executive chef at 20? I'm like, you need someone in your kitchen. I need a job. Let me show you what I got. And I was working in a restaurant in London where we're banging 250 covers, 5 of us in the kitchen. And I said, I got oomph. Let me show you. 3 days later, he goes, all right, you got the job. And then he didn't look for another executive chef, and I stayed there for 1 full year, 7 days, no days off. 1 full year, back in 1989. All right.
20 years old.
At 20 years old, I was born in '69. Yes. And then I moved to New York, and then I got an executive chef at Le Bilboquet. And then
Bilboquet, I know they have one here, but did that start in New York?
The same one, yes. The one where Eric Clapton, Claudia Schiffer, and all the fashion and people were coming, waiting over there. And then all those people were there. And then at some point, the way I got the position over there is because the chef was drinking too much, and he would put the kitchen brandy into the Coca-Cola bottle. And then at 6 p.m. the guy was smashed.
Yeah.
And the food runner went to get the boss and say, hey, the chef is smashed. So the boss came in and he took out his sports jacket and he put an apron on, and I said, no. You take out the door upstairs, I'll run the kitchen. When I'm in the weeds, I call you. I was never in the weeds. And then I got the job at the Bilboquet that way. And then Momo, who was the dishwasher at the time, still works for them. And then he's their prep guy now. He's their main prep guy. He became the sous chef after a while, and so on. I don't know, he might be retired by now, but I don't think so. And then I know the entire crew of Le Bilboquet. Now they hired François Paillard, legendary pastry chef. The guy is a gem. And you go there, it's the cream of the crop. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal. Like I don't come close to as good as that guy is. Yeah. But they're doing a great job. Love it. It's a little pricey to my taste, but
as in the one in New York or the one here?
No, the one here.
The one here.
I don't know about the one in New York. And then they have Le Bilboquet in Atlanta.
Did you start in New York or did you start in the one here?
No, I started in the one in New York.
In New York, okay.
No, I worked at Le Bilboquet only in the one in New York.
Okay.
The one that was 35 seats only, like tiny. It was a tiny little restaurant with electric kitchen on the bottom back in 1991. No gas. Electric flat top. The same way I worked at Windows on the World on the 107th floor of the Twin Towers back in 1997. A line that was long from here to there, the whole hotline, long like from that bottle to here, electric tops everywhere. And then when there was a storm, the towers were on cables, and then our saucers were moving. I was the saucier at the time. I promise.
Because the towers are supposed to be able to sway back.
Correct. After that, I work at Jean-Georges. First, I work at Windows on the World on the 107th floor of the Twin Towers. Then I work at Jean-Georges. No, that story is interesting, and then there is more. I mean, we could talk about my career. We can talk about my career forever. I put it here in a nutshell, you know, which is my bio, which is usually the stuff. But then they hired me here because I wanted the job, because I was living in Miami at the time.
How long ago did they hire you?
When at the opening, you know. I was the opening chef in 2020.
Okay, 2020. Oh, it's only Luglo's only been here 5 years.
This one here in Palm Beach only 5 years. We just celebrated our 5 years last month, 2 months ago. And I went to work as a private chef somewhere. And then here, meanwhile, they had one chef, another chef, another chef, another chef, and things went south. And then they called me back after they got their shit together, and they said, "Chef, can you come back?" I'm like, if you match what I make, and I was working part-time, only 3 days.
As a private chef?
As a private chef, making more than I ever made in my life.
Yeah.
And I say, if you match what I make now, I come back. And the reason why I wanted to come back is because a private chef is glorious, glamorous, but you do the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
It's boring. Where here we can do specials 6 days a week, 7 days. We have special requests from the guests, which is another challenge. We have a menu with over 70 items between the breakfast, between the brunch, lunch, and dinner, and desserts, and all that. It's so it's so rewarding, you know what I mean, to do all that and have to make a special cake and have to find a special cowboy shop for someone and a tomahawk and then they keep throwing they keep throwing stuff at me that are challenging, and I accept the challenge every time. There's no such thing as no. You know what I mean? We work in the hospitality industry to make the guest happy.
Yeah. Make them feel welcome.
And that's all I want to do. And then working as a private chef, I would make them happy, but then my life was dull. It was boring. Yes, it was easy. It was too easy. It was good money. It was not too much work. Cooking for 6, okay, easy. Let me cook for 300 a day, 400, 500, you know.
A lot more excitement.
Exactly, yeah. And then since we're about to hit the 10 million, imagine how much we've done. Like, the last 4 weeks, we made more than $250,000 every week, you know what I mean? Which is...
It's probably gonna, I take it next week's only gonna pick up from there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Holidays.
So it's not only about the Benjamins, it's also about putting up with those guys, you know, giving that guy a burger medium rare over here and over there.
Rebellion.
You know, like putting a smile on people's face, not just the customers, but also the staff. You know what I mean? You're going to sell my special, you'll be able to sell 30 grams of white truffle tonight, I give you a burger. You know what I mean? And they do, I bribe them, but then I follow up. You know what I mean? So, that's why we are. What else? Mistake? What mistake told me the most?
Let me ask you this.
My mistake is my big mouth. That's
your big mouth.
I got a big fucking mouth, man. That's my mistake. That's my biggest mistake. That's what taught me the most, to keep my mouth shut. That's my mistake. I can be a little cocky here and there and have a big mouth. I can tell that. That I know for sure. You know, and what keeps me coming back in the kitchen now is because it's my passion. I breathe it. How do you want to be remembered? Well, I want to be remembered as the guy that will end up on a boat, fishing, cool as a cucumber. And then
describe here. If you could put into one word.
Sorry, can interrupt. Is the salmon cake gluten-free, dairy-free?
Yes, ma'am, both.
If you could put into one word the cuisine you create, and that deep down you'd want to create wherever you go, what would that word be?
Well, I'm comfortable with classic French, but I love Asian cuisine. You know, I make you a pad thai to knock your socks off. I love Asian cuisine in general, not just Thai, but also Chinese, Cantonese, Sichuan, Japanese. A bit of a blend, you know what I mean? Like, don't stay stuck on one thing.
Yeah.
Is what I would describe. But I shine the most at classic French because that's what I've done all my life, and that's what I have. I was also a culinary advisor for Rougier. Rougier is the biggest, Rougie, is the biggest foie gras producer in the world. And I was trained in Canada for that, went to the farm and everything. And then I know a thing or two about that people don't know. And that was, but then at first I was a culinary advisor, but then it turned out to be, they changed my position to be a sales rep. No, I can describe.
Doesn't align with.
I can describe to you, I can show you, I can give you a demo, all you want. But don't ask me to go knock on doors to get more accounts. That's how it didn't work out.
Tell me the perfect meal for you.
The perfect meal, honestly, a bowl of rice with whatever you choose on it.
Whatever I choose.
Yeah. Whatever you find, put it on that, and that's going to be the perfect meal for me.
Yeah.
Simple. Keep it super simple. Now a poke bowl is fashionable.
Yeah.
Kind of that idea, except before poke became famous.
The last thing I want to ask you is, how do you believe that food transfers emotion?
In texture, in taste, in flavor, heat, sweet, spicy, sour, bitter. All that alone is a bundle of emotions.
All the factors.
Everything applies. It's the ink, the flavors and the textures and all those nuances are the ink that describe those emotions.
Awesome.
I believe that.
Thank you for coming on the show.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I forgot to mention and how I became a master chef of France. But then, for now, let's talk about today. Unless Anila wants to scratch my back some more.
Why would I do that?
Because you want a Dover sole, a trout, or duck confit. So the soup today is a roasted cauliflower soup. The tarte flambée, aka flatbread, is with a seared salmon, beet puree, sauce vierge, which is a little lighter than the sauce vierge we serve with the bass, which includes shallots, tomato, mint, cilantro, lemon lime, and extra virgin olive oil. We have the steamed artichokes ravigote. We have the so famous, iconic smoked branzino rillette with toast, cornichon, and pickles. Make sure you let the guests know that it's smoked, because a couple of days ago, someone said that it tasted weird. No, it wasn't weird, it's smoked. That's why, okay? We have a smoker in the back. We smoked the branzino and then we turned it into to be American, a fish dip, kind of. But we like to call it a rillette because we're French, all right? We had a wood oven baked brie. So that's 1 cheese, 6 ounces. We score it. We pluck it with confit garlic, drizzle it with truffle honey, and bake it in a wood oven until it becomes melted and delicious. And that is served with frisee lettuce dressed with truffle vinaigrette, coming with truffle of, slices of black truffle and toast points or toasted baguette, whatever you want to call it. And that will go for $42, okay? The more you sell, the better off you'll be. We also have a salmon cake with a gribiche. So let me remind you of gribiche. Gribiche is a mayonnaise with hard-boiled eggs, cornichon, capers, a little bit of shallots, and then some chopped herbs such as parsley, chives, and tarragon. And that comes with a little lemon on the side and petite salad. That's for the appetizer, and that's $32.
One cake.
One 5-ounce salmon cake as an appetizer. Okay.
It's almost like a crab cake, but salmon.
It's like a crab cake, except it's not crab, it's salmon. And then inside that cake, you have, of course, it's gluten-free, dairy-free. It's made with gluten-free panko. And then we poach the salmon in a courbouillon. I'm sure everybody knows what is a courbouillon. We'll talk about that off camera. And then we mix it with Bermuda onion, aka red onion, diced red peppers, parsley, little mayo, lemon juice, lemon zest, more love, a little bit of Old Bay, and then coat it with breadcrumb. On the main course, we have 12 orders of skate fish, grenobloise, which means croutons, lemon, butter, parsley, capers, more love, and then that thing will come with mashed potatoes and snow peas. We ran out of snow peas yesterday, but today's a new day, so we have a lot. Also, for the people that want to go fancy, we have a fresh fettuccine with champagne sauce, white Alba truffle, 3 grams, and 20 grams of Kaluga Altima caviar. We sold quite a few yesterday. I'm very happy about that. Thank you. Keep pushing. We also have a wild mushroom risotto that already comes with 3 grams of black truffle. And if you want to add 3 more grams and add white truffle and add more on it, knock yourself out. It's up to you. On dessert, we have a Danish bread pudding with orange crème anglaise. You know that we have black truffle and white truffle to sell forever. The cheese board is the same as we know. Josh, what's the cheese board?
So it's going to be tête de moine.
Louder.
Tête de moine, Morbier, Chapitou, and Pomodoro.
Except for the Morbier, it's going to be truffle brie.
Probably, wow.
Thank you. I'm glad I asked you. And then on oysters, we have Pink Moon, Irish Point, and Beau Soleil on the East Coast. All that are from the north on the East Coast. And then on the West Coast, we have Kumamoto, Shigoku, and we got some Kushi today. All right? Kushi. So 3 types. I don't have too much Shigoku left, by the way. And then we have more stone crabs, jumbo, that you can sell. We have 22 orders of branzino, and then more Dover than you can sell. Voilà. That was my speech for the food notes. Thank you, guys. Scream my name.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. Cindy Galvin. You know Cindy Galvin? That's for you. She's really nice. Award-winning author and hypnotherapist featured on ABC, NBC, CBS. All right. A comeback for Robbie Hines, Schimmelbusch, table 21, chairman and CEO of AMG Advanced Metallurgical Group. Tonight, 170, 210, please. You know the special. Miss Laure, Snoop showed a good example to Laure. Any questions so far? Come in the office, ask the captain. All right, we're all clear on that. Right now we're talking about dinner, closing the restaurant. But are we open for lunch? Yes. And we're open for dinner. And what's in between? Apéro at the bar. But if you have a team in the morning and a team in the evening and you don't communicate, okay, we have nothing. Okay? So if you're going on break during these next 3 weeks, we're gonna work 6-7 doubles every week. Okay, you're gonna work every day. You're gonna have some break in the afternoon. And if you go, oh, Alina, captain, can you sign me? I'm going break. Okay, you go on break, and then you have 3 tables in your section. One is on appetizer, one is on main course, one is on dessert. One got an allergy, and you go on break like that.
This is not possible. This is not professional. That's amateur work. Are you professional or amateur? Okay? And it's only respect. We talk to you respectfully. If Giovanna is asking you something, you do it. If Marina is asking you something, you do it. Okay? It's like Mathieu is asking you something or Jean Denoyer is asking you something. Okay? This way is the only way. Okay? If we want to have more people like that Kevin saying, oh, that's the perfect place because we have great food, great service, and great vibe, is the only way. So that we have to work together. Okay? Ready?
Because it's terrible.
All right. We clean the vent and show time. Show ready, please. Thank you.